Welcome back to BST, everybody. We have a new setup. We wanted to make it more casual, more just like this is a conversation on a couch, which it is. So we went away from the table, and this is how it's going to be.
I hate the Dallas Stars.
We're getting ahead of ourselves now.
I hate them.
What this episode is, we're first off, the Avs Stars Game 7 just ended. We'll get to that. It's going to kind of be a recap on the NHL playoffs. We have Game 7 tomorrow between Winnipeg and St. Louis, but we'll talk about that tomorrow night once that game is over. But it's going to be like an Avs reaction plus the reaction to the rest of the first round of the NHL playoffs. But yeah, let us know what you think of the new setup. But yeah, let's get right into it. Avs lose 3-2 to the Dallas Stars. Blew a 2-0 third period lead in horrific fashion. I need to ask the Avalanche fan himself what happened.
Well, I guess, is this karma for getting the game winner in Game 6 deflected off of their defenseman and into the net?
Probably.
Is that what this is?
Probably.
Because the game tying goal by Mikko Rantanen, former Avalanche player, deflects off of Sam Girard into the back of the net, tie game.
Yep.
Game over. That point on, game over.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way. As soon as Rantanen scored the first goal, bar down, the crowd started getting going. And from that point, I got scared. And I'm not a fan of either team. I don't like the Stars.
I hate the Dallas Stars.
I also hate the Dallas Stars. Not a big fan of them. But I don't necessarily like the Avalanche.
Let me just say, I respect the Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
They're a good hockey team.
They are.
They were the better team in the series.
They are.
Should they have been?
They were not the better team.
I don't know.
They were not the better team.
The better team won. Isn't that how it goes?
I guess. I mean, that's what they say, but I don't believe. I think.
I felt like the Avalanche outplayed them most of the series. They probably should have won the series.
I mean, the
Avalanche are allergic to closing out games.
The two games, or of the 3 games the Avalanche won, 2 were blowouts. Of the 4 games the Stars won, 3 were close.
And there was such an emotional letdown in Game 3 in Colorado. Landeskog comes back, and they lose in overtime in that game. And I felt like that was, you won Game 1, but I saw them do that last year. But I was confident without Georgiev in net, who can't stop anything.
Yeah.
That maybe this would be a different story playing the Dallas Stars. But then I forgot the biggest point. Who coaches the Dallas Stars?
Pete DeBoer.
Pete DeBoer. How many times has he ever lost a Game 7? Never.
0 times. He has never. Which is insane. What is he? 8-0, 9-0?
Which, yeah, right. Yeah, he's 9. I think he's 9.
9-0 in Game 7s.
What haven't the Avalanche done in the last 7 Game 7s? One.
Never. In the last 7. It's unbelievable.
Now, if that were my team, on the positive side of things, just that stat being read alone would be enough to jinx my team.
Which one are you saying?
Stars.
Oh, you're saying the Pete DeBoer thing?
Right.
Okay.
Right. If they were like, Avalanche, Bednar, 7-0, I'd be like, well, they're okay, 7-1 now. You just jinxed me. Does it jinx Dallas? No, They're jinx proof.
0. Yep.
The only team in Dallas that is not jinx proof are the Cowboys. And maybe the Mavericks.
They are also they may, I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
The best team in Dallas right now is the Stars.
Duh.
Right.
Duh. The Mavericks suck, the Cowboys suck.
Right.
The Stars are good. But here from the outside perspective, I was cheering for the Avalanche. I picked the Avalanche for my cup winner.
That was my cup winner. Stupid. I'm so dumb.
I'm pretty disappointed by this.
Why did I do that? Why did I pick
the
Avalanche?
On paper, you look at the roster, you're like, man, down the middle, they're stacked.
Man.
You bring in Brock Nelson, probably wasn't a good trade as you look back on it. Did he provide much? I don't know. I think if you don't bring him in, you still have your number one prospect. You have Landeskog, and I think Landeskog definitely played better than Brock Nelson in this series. So that was a misstep. Lindgren, you bring him in from New York. He did not play well in this game. Arguably threw away the game defensively. You look at these trades that were at the time, and I said it myself, and we said it when we did our playoff predictions. They were all in, and I was not impressed because you look at Dallas. I understand they're still a good team without these guys, but you don't have Heiskanen and you don't have Robertson. That's that's your best defenseman by far, and then it's your second best or best forward. So to lose this series for Colorado, it's a major disappointment.
Well, I think, but here's the thing. They had Mikko Rantanen, which
I understand
looked like it didn't matter for most of wherever since Mikko left Colorado. Underwhelming, to say the least. Well, he's we've awoken the beast or something, because 4 points in the third period.
Yeah,
hat trick. Well, counting the empty net, but you do. Yeah. So honestly, that was a piece that Dallas did not have last year. I mean, you can plug him in place of Robertson, and you almost don't lose anything from that standpoint. I mean, they just gained an extra weapon in Rantanen.
Mostly,
and had Colorado seen, because I agree with the trade. I don't.
The trade was a good trade.
It's a good trade. You got good pieces. It's a good trade. Whatever. Yeah, you lost to them, and it's going to look like all the media is going to say, "Oh, they should have never got rid of Rantanen." Well, I mean, we couldn't win with him last year in the same scenario.
True.
So yeah. So we still lost to Dallas last year, and so nothing's changed on that front. But I think that at least helps you with Robertson, but then their defensemen just stepped up, and I just think the Dallas Stars are much deeper than a lot of analysts, including you, give them credit for.
Their defense surprised me this series. I thought their right side especially was pretty weak, but they really shut down the Avs.
Give it up for Ottinger, though. They peppered him in several games with multiple shots.
Yeah,
and he made stops that the Avs couldn't score on some, where it's like they missed on some. He made some saves on some chances that could have put this series away much earlier for the Avalanche.
Fair enough.
And they didn't. You know what? And they didn't. That's how it goes.
Also, you look at Dallas's defense. Harley took a massive step this year. He was not this player last year. He turned into if you don't have Heiskanen, that guy can definitely be your number one D man. But they have Heiskanen.
I gotta say though, and here's the thing, because this was the shot, but for the Avs to get past Dallas, but had they, I think the narrative would have been, well, you did it in 6 or 7 without they didn't have Robertson or Heiskanen.
That's what I expect.
Because I think when those two come back next series, I don't know, man. Maybe my hatred for Dallas got in the way of me picking them, but they might be my new favorite in the West to make it to the Stanley Cup final.
It's interesting.
They might,
because they'll play the winner of Winnipeg or St. Louis. So honestly, I think St. Louis is going to take that one. If you think about St. Louis, they've been playing meaningful games since January. Mm-hmm. So, they're built for this moment. Winnipeg hasn't played a meaningful game since January, probably. They've just cruised to the President's Trophy.
The curse is going to bite them. Yeah. I think, so, but let's not get ahead of ourselves with that. Talking that.
Oh no, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Dallas.
So if they play one of those teams, I think they'll win that. And then you're facing either Edmonton or Vegas, and Vegas beat the Stars in the conference final in 2023, and Edmonton beat the Stars in the conference final in 2024. So it's the past two teams who've beat them.
I don't know. I know it's a new season though. They've got a lot more weapons. Their younger players are that much more experienced. Wyatt Johnston, I mean, that kid plays really well. They're just, I think they're pretty deep, and I think they kind of showed it because I think everybody was picking Avs just off the roster. And, I hate it for Landeskog, but he'll be back next year. And most of these players that Colorado picked up are still going to be there next year, from what I understand.
Brock Nelson will probably be gone just because I don't think they bring him back. Maybe.
But I think you're going to have a big core. You're going to have a good group in Colorado. They're going to be contending.
Yeah,
they'll contend again next year, and you'll have Landeskog hopefully for the whole season. That maybe that'll solidify some things, and maybe Natchez will groove a little bit. I mean, they talked it on the broadcast today. Avalanche only have 3 players on their roster they actually drafted it. Landeskog, McKinnon, and Makar. Everyone else has been acquired either free agency or trade. So this year especially, they made a lot of moves. You give them an off season together. You give them, time to gel. I think that was a big difference with Dallas is that group has been together and they played really well together. And I just think that was a big difference maker in the series. I get it. There's 2 games that went to overtime. Easily could have been won by Avalanche, but were won by the Stars. They Avalanche didn't show up in Game 5 at all. And honestly, it felt like in Game 6 they got kind of lucky there at the end. But the Avs played a great game today.
They
emotion
dominated.
Aside, they played a great game. They showed up in the game. It was a great hockey game. It really was. If I hadn't been emotionally invested in Avalanche and sitting back, time's gone by a little bit now, I can appreciate that was a good Game 7. That's what you want in a Game 7. There's a comeback, there's not a blowout, there's drama. And it gave it to you today. I mean, it didn't get decided until the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yep.
And so that's what you can ask for as a fan in Game 7. Doesn't change my hatred for Dallas. I hate them.
Yep.
It gives me some great anger going forward watching playoff hockey, and gives me a team to hate and a team to cheer against. So he'll probably hear me yell when Vegas squares off against them in the conference final.
We still have to get past
Edmonton. Vegas, so I usually don't do that because I kind of don't like Vegas that much.
Nobody does. Nobody likes Vegas.
I only for him. And because we went there last year and Avs blew a 3-0 lead and lost 4-3.
Sounds familiar.
Very familiar. So I'm very used to watching Colorado blow a third period lead. Was I confident at any point in this game?
I was.
No.
When they were up 2-0, I'm like, this is it. They are going to win this game.
I let that seep in for
Dallas didn't do anything
seconds,
for 2.5 periods.
But I kept thinking all they need is one, and this thing is going to flip.
I understand that. But I'm like, all right. They got one. That's why you built the 2-0 lead. That's your cushion. They're going to lock it down.
And and it's the karma thing again, right? We got lucky in Game 6. They got some luck today. On the power play, Makar breaks his stick at the blue line.
Yeah.
Is forced to take out Hintz. Has to take out Rupe Hintz. Gets the penalty called. And that's what leads to the equalizer by Rantanen, right? So it's like, okay, yeah, but then a horrible holding penalty by Drury. He's in the box, power play, tic-tac-toe. It's in the back of the net for them. Game over. But the Avs. I mean, I'll give it to them. The last 2.5 minutes, man, they dominated that offensive zone. They just could not get it past Ottinger. Ottinger made some saves. They just couldn't control the puck enough. Couldn't get it in the back of the net. They outshot the Stars again. It just feels like. It felt to me overall, Avalanche over the 7 games outplayed the Stars, but not on the scoreboard.
I'd say the player I was most disappointed by was either Natchez or Makar. Makar came on. I thought he was decent in this game, but overall, from the best defenseman in the league, I felt like he was kind of neutralized.
Do you think from defensive side or just offensive
I thought his defense was fine, but it was way less from what I expected from the best offensive defenseman in the league.
Yeah, it was tough, and I think they did things. Obviously, they they zoned in on McKinnon and McCarr.
McKinnon came to play though.
Yeah,
McKinnon had 7 goals in 7 games.
McKinnon, yeah. Well, and he has the more scoring chances than McCarr. But I think they were doing things probably in particular to keep McCarr out because McKinnon's going to do what McKinnon does, right? He doesn't do it as well as Connor McDavid, but he's close, right? But McKinnon's going to create. He's going to get his shots. I think they did a lot to take McCarr out of the game from the offensive side. I think it forced the Avs, and I think the Avs didn't adjust early enough. Like you saw in this game, they dropped, McCarr into the slot a couple of times, had McKinnon up high, try to get McCarr some opportunities, and I think the Avs needed to do more of that. But the Avs have this strange approach of it's always just dump and chase. Dump and chase, dump and chase, dump and chase. I don't love that one as much.
I thought their forecheck was good this game.
Yeah, the forecheck was good. Nishushkin, I felt like
he was hustling
all over the place today. I felt like Nishushkin had a really great game.
They had multiple cross-ice passes that Dallas just got a stick on. And, Dallas really good with their
penalty
sticks.
Kill is really good. Dallas's defense in
they're
their zone,
very, very good.
They're just in your face, and it feels like the Avs sit back and let them move, and it's like there's not a lot of coordinated movement like you see with Dallas. Dallas just seems like they take your space away. They're just always in your space, and you have to, they've got a stick on a puck or anything deflecting passes, deflecting shots, blocking shots, whatever. And so, yeah, I
think the problem,
disappointment as an Avalanche fan, but I wish they would reformat the playoffs so that this wasn't
this should be the conference final.
This should have been conference final. It doesn't make the hurt any less, but it is what it is. That's why they play the game. Dallas outplayed them today in the third period, and they move on. And they're going to face...
They're scary, no doubt.
They're going to face the winner of tomorrow's game 7. So
they're terrifying. I will say they're terrifying. I don't think they win the cup. I just think it's a similar team to what we saw last year.
Do you think they make the final, though? The cup
it's
final?
Tough to say. I think either Edmonton or Vegas... Maybe even St. Louis or Winnipeg can beat them. I think the West is so up in the air at this point because I thought the favorite in the Avs, they're out now.
Yeah.
But let's just transition.
Okay. Yeah.
I will. This next round, we're gonna kind of just do some more kind of instant reactions on games and series if they end, stuff like that, because now I feel like we've been waiting for days to finally film an episode about what's happened. So we're going to be more instantaneous with that, but we just wanted to go over the series that have ended so far. Obviously, we still have the one tomorrow. We'll cover that tomorrow night, and then we'll probably do that and the NBA stuff, but let's just start with the first one that ended. We'll just start with the Metro, really. Capitals, Montreal. Montreal was frisky for sure, but I felt like the Capitals kind of controlled it. Logan Thompson played like his regular season self after kind of being in a slump. What did you think?
Oh, I thought the Canadiens gave him a lot to handle.
They did.
I mean, I think Washington had to work for that 5-game win. I mean, for winning in 5, it felt like I watched a lot of close games.
There were
they definitely were a little more of a pain for Washington than I thought, and that either means Canadians. It's probably a mixture of both. Canadians are probably better than I thought they were, and maybe Washington's not as good as I think they are, but. I don't know. I thought it was a good series.
Canadians have a bright future.
5 games. Yeah.
I mean, the Canes are just starting out, obviously.
They weren't in the playoffs at the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
Or the 4 Seasons.
4 Nations.
4 Nations. At the 4 Nations tournament, they were not in the playoff contention. So, I mean, for them to make the run that they did, I thought it was, an impressive run. Suzuki, their captain's a really good player. They got a young star.
They got so many young guys.
I forget his name, the young Russian star coming in.
Demidov.
I mean, the Canadians are going to be in the conversation next year for sure.
Next year and the years after.
Next several years. So, yeah, overall, I mean, entertaining for 5 games.
But
it felt closer than that.
I think the real key for this game was the final game, Game 5. Protas came back, 30-goal scorer, and you just saw the Capitals really pour it on in that game. I think it was like 5-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think the Capitals moving forward are better than they were in this series. Losing Protas is huge. They had him only for Game 5. So you get Protas back. They lost Faravari in one of the games. He's out for the entire playoffs, so that's a big blow on their defense. But you get Protas back, get that goal scoring back in the mix. You recreate that second line that is so good. I think the Capitals can push the Hurricanes. Let's just get to that series. The Devils, Hurricanes, another 5-game series. Or was that 6?
I think that one went 6.
That one went 6, I think. Yeah, because
it was 6 games. Yeah.
The Devils won that overtime game.
Down 3-1. They
down
won that
3.
overtime,
Yep. And
went back to New Jersey for Game 6.
So I mean, we knew the Devils weren't going to win this series.
No, yeah.
Without your best player, Jack Hughes, it's going to be hard. They lost Luke Hughes early on in the series. I didn't think they were going to win coming into it, like I said. But they battled them. But the Hurricanes, they just played some good hockey. They got great defensive play. Brenda Moore does a great job coaching those guys up.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I just thought they were too much for the Devils to handle. Even if they could have pushed it to a Game 7, I still think the Hurricanes would have won.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, no surprise. I think that series for us, we both had Carolina
yeah,
winning,
we got both those matchups correct.
Devils put up a fight.
They did.
They
Better fight than I thought, really.
They didn't go quietly. Considering what they were down.
I thought Markstrom was really good in that final game, too.
That Game 6, overtime period, because it didn't go to overtime.
Yeah.
2 overtimes.
Yeah, the Hurricanes peppered him. And he was making saves after saves.
15-1 in shots, in
really
overtime.
Bad. So I thought Markstrom played really well.
Markstrom did all he could to keep him alive, but ultimately Carolina's just better.
So that sets up a match between the Hurricanes and the Capitals. I have the Capitals winning this one, but
I agree.
I don't know.
The Capitals
it's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to. I think
it'll
go
6 or 7. Yeah, it'll go 6 or 7. Yeah.
I tend to trust the Hurricanes more. I don't know that I believe in the Capitals. I really
they
want
have Protas for the whole thing.
Yeah,
Protas is back for the whole thing.
I really want to believe in the Capitals. I just don't think I can bring myself to believe in them.
Ovi magic.
Maybe. I mean, he had a good series.
All hail Ovi.
Yeah, all hail Ovi. Yeah. Let's move to the other side of the East. Toronto, Ottawa. It was a good series. It could have.
It was good.
I think. I mean, Toronto winning in 6 obviously looks like a less competitive series than it was. I think Ottawa could have easily won this series. I think you had an overtime game early on in the series. I can't remember which game it was, but I remember it went to overtime. So that's an opportunity Ottawa could have seized there. But then Toronto goes up 3-0. And you're like, all right, the Maple Leafs going to get a first-round win. And then all of a sudden, Ottawa out of nowhere gets 2 wins, and it's 3-2. And you're like, oh, my goodness, Maple Leafs. Are you going to lose another first-round series? And I think there have been riots in Toronto if that happened. There probably still will be when they inevitably lose later on because we just know it's what's going to happen.
I
mean, you have them going to the final, so you got to cheer for them now.
I mean, because it's based off of, basically, come on, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares.
Hey,
it's your time.
We can't
send them there.
Hey,
carry your team to the cup.
Whatever we want to say, the superstars showed up in the first round. They showed up.
Sure, they have to continue that though.
I agree.
So, and I mean, the Brady Tkachuk kind of willed Ottawa
he had a great series
into not going away quietly, scared them a little bit. But they gathered themselves, went back to Ottawa, and took care of business in Game 6. So I think that's a lot for Toronto to build on. They're gonna play a really tough Florida team, the defending champs. Hopefully Toronto can find something there, and I think they've got home ice. I don't know if that makes a difference that much in hockey, although I felt like it did today in the third period of the Dallas Avs game. But we already covered that. But that home. I think home ice helps you in Game 7s. I think that's the biggest.
It helps when it's tight.
I think it does when it's tight, and that energy from the fans, I think, can really help ignite you. That last, you get last changing on the lines, on faceoffs and stuff. You can control a little bit more of the matchups at home. I think that certainly helps when it's tight, and so maybe that could be a little bit of a difference for Toronto this year. So, Florida won the cup by having home ice, right? So they didn't the year before when they didn't have home ice, right? Vegas had home ice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that can sometimes, not always, play a difference. So maybe that can be the deciding factor for Toronto, but man, it didn't matter against Tampa Bay. So I don't know. Florida. Yeah.
We'll just get to that.
You want to talk about that one? Yeah.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking that Tampa went out in 5. Although I think Florida played really well, I think Tampa kind of shot themselves in the foot. They couldn't get the power play going. Vasilevsky looked horrible. And Matthew Tkachuk. What a difference one player makes. He made their offense look like right back to cup-winning form again.
Oh, it was hard-hitting series. Lot of hard hits. Few fights early on. A lot of Battle of Florida.
A lot of dirty penalty, suspensions.
I didn't agree with either one. Or I didn't agree that either one, or the one that was the suspension, or the one they argue should have been suspension. I don't agree with either one of those. I don't think that who was the guy that hit Barkov?
Hagel?
Hagel's hit on Barkov causes a kind of in-game injury for Barkov. Barkov doesn't miss any games. I think he missed the rest of that game. I think he was out.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the puck. Hagel gets the interference penalty. He doesn't get hit. He doesn't hit him in the head, but it's a little bit of a blindside hit.
Yep.
And Barkov goes down hard to the ice, leaves the game with an injury. They suspend Hagel for 1 game. Next game that Hagel's suspended,
Ekblad.
No, actually, it was
that 2 games later.
That was 2 games later. So the next game, Tkachuk blindside hits. Gensel gets a 5-minute major. The game's out of reach at that point. It's happening in the last 5 minutes, basically with 5 minutes left in the third period. And, Tampa's got the comfortable lead. Probably a little bit of a hit out of frustration. He blindsides Gensel, but Gensel's staring at the puck after he passed it.
Yeah.
If he turns his head, he could probably avoid it. It's kind of a dirty hit. It deserved the 5-minute major, but people were squawking that it should have gotten Tkachuk suspended. It didn't. I didn't agree with the Hagel suspension. I didn't agree that Tkachuk should have been suspended. It's just playoff hockey.
I agree.
It's playoff hockey.
Let him play.
Gensel, neither one, both were shouldered hits. It wasn't like a cheap shot to the head. It just took, Gensel's not a very big guy, and Tkachuk's a pretty powerful guy.
Yeah.
Lifted him up off of his feet, kind of hit his face as he slammed to the ice, but, didn't knock him out, he didn't miss any time, but just a tough series. Hard hitting. I was also surprised that that Tampa went out like they did. I feel like they have, besides a goaltender, Vasilevsky, he's a great goaltender, but
he was good in the regular season. He was really bad.
He really struggled.
I think more so how we said Colorado went all in, Tampa really went all in, and now you look at Tampa. I know some people have been talking that one of the only ways they can really change this team up and maybe try to find a new groove here is by trading Kucherov, probably their best player, which is insane because he's the only guy on their team that does not have any trade protection. That's really tradable for any kind of assets or anything. So it's just pretty disappointing for Tampa. Obviously, I had them going to the Cup final. I know plenty of people did. It's just like, man, and to bow out in so few games. Obviously, Florida's a great team, but I did not think it would have happened this quickly. It was just like a swift beating by Florida. And now they move on, and they will face the Maple Leafs, like we said. I think it's going to be a good series. I think Florida ultimately takes it. Honestly, at this point, I think Florida is my cup pick, no doubt. I just think they are by far the best team left, and I think they kind of scared everybody.
Yeah,
with the way they beat down Tampa, I think everybody in the NHL is a little bit scared at this point.
Well, it's playoff Bob,
Yeah, he
back
showed
in
up.
the net. So I mean, Bobrovsky's pretty tough goaltender. Kind of shows up when they need him the most. He showed up better than Vasilevsky in that series, and so yeah, Florida's scary. I mean, it could easily be Florida Dallas.
It's just
Stanley
like
Cup final.
They didn't have their best, arguably their best defenseman for 2 games of the series, the first 2 games, and then the next, what was it, Game 5? They didn't have him either.
Yeah,
because he got suspended, and they still just beat down on Tampa.
So we talked about everybody in the East then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is the East.
So West.
So yeah, we just got.
We don't need to talk about Colorado, Dallas. I think we covered that.
We just got the Pacific. We'll start with the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings. What a fantastic series. Kings go up 2-0, obviously. Everybody's down on Edmonton. It's crazy.
Edmonton looks awful in the first 2 games.
I was like, oh my God, they're going to be swept. This is horrible.
That first game, I mean, they were down multiple goals.
They came back
and tied it, and then came out of nowhere to score like 4 goals to tie it, and then gave up the game winner right before the end of the game. And you're just
Skinner chants are raining down the entire game, and game 2.
They hook them in game 2. Pickard comes in, and then they never look back.
That's kind of where the series flipped.
Yeah,
you go.
Hold on though. Oh wait.
Game 3.
Finish your thought. Oh yeah.
Game 3 is where it really flipped.
Yeah, I was gonna say it flipped. You could argue it flipped when they put Pickard in game 2. However, they lost that game, right? Where it flipped was
game 3.
Yeah.
Game 3. Edmonton, was it 2-1?
Oh, something.
I think it was 2.
They were
down a goal. They were down a goal. There is 20 seconds left or something like that. And it's an empty net. Boosh bomb from the point to score to tie the game and set it overtime.
That was Evan Bouchard?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Evan Bouchard. Boosh bomb. That was a game changer. Because that prevents LA from going up 2-1 in the series.
3-1.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 3-1.
Yeah, it would have been. It was game 4, wasn't it? Yeah, because they'd won game 3.
3-1.
Yep.
And it was a horrible clearing attempt by Quentin Byfield that allowed Bouchard to get the puck and shoot it. I mean, just a huge turn of events.
And then Edmonton dominates overtime and wins it.
That was one of the most entertaining overtime periods, and it was so lopsided.
Oh.
I thought for a second there, I'm like, if Edmonton loses this game, it will genuinely be one of those things in the locker room. What do they even talk about?
When did Edmonton change up the lines and put Draisaitl and McDavid together? When did
that was smart?
When did they do that?
I don't know exactly.
Did that happen in games 1 and 2, or did that not happen? Until
I knew
3?
last year they ran McDavid and Draisaitl on different lines, and I think for most of the year they did the same. I think they went into the series with that different. But I think at a certain point, obviously getting Evander Kane back is big because that's depth.
So maybe the argument is it flipped when they did that.
I mean, it's just so dominant.
We'd have to go back and look and see if on game 1 if they started the series
Yeah.
with them on the same line, because I don't remember that. We watched all the games, but it didn't seem until like that overtime period that they played together the whole period in overtime.
It was so dominant. I mean,
and
they
then
had
the next
chances.
game they were.
Yeah.
So
They-
I'm not sure.
They had chances left and right, and then they finally get the power play. Draisaitl buries it to win the game, tie the series, and they didn't look back. They won the next two in dominating fashion, took the series 4-2. For Kings
Crazy.
fans, it's devastating
Oh.
because you thought this was the year.
Was it
four
Is it
years in
now?
a row?
4 years in a row you've lost to Edmonton in the first round.
And the three others, you weren't as good as them. You were on the road, but this time you're at home. All the Kings fans. I know a Kings fan. One of my buddies, he said,
I got a
this
Kings
is the
fan
year.
buddy too. Yeah.
This is the year we beat Edmonton finally, and they just cannot do it. They have their number, and obviously when you have just McDavid, Draisaitl on the same line, it has to be one of the greatest lines in NHL
and it's unfortunate because to me it felt like you look back on those 6 games, and it felt like LA outplayed Edmonton the whole series.
I know there were,
And Kemper stood on his head. I mean, Kemper made great saves. Kemper to me has been the most impressive goaltender, maybe outside of probably Binnington right now.
Yeah.
But like Binnington and Kemper, I think we won't rank them. We'll just say Binnington, Kemper, I think have had the best first round so far on the goaltending side. So, but yeah, Kemper, obviously won the Stanley Cup with the Avs back in 2022. Wish he was still there. Although, Blackwood, not to digress, but like Blackwood, I thought played pretty well. But in any event, LA with Kemper, super disappointing. It always sucks to get out 2-0 and lose the series.
It's just insane.
The odds are
it flipped so fast.
I think the stats are you win like 70-something% of all the series when you go up 2-0, which is weird because you're just holding serve, right? You're holding serve at home. Other team needs to go do that.
As soon as they tied it, I'm like, all right, they might be in trouble because if Edmonton can steal game 5 on the road, and then because the Kings are horrible on the road, so then you have to go to Edmonton for game 6. I'm like, all right, this might be over. And Pickard, credit him, not easy to go into a situation where Stuart Skinner has sucked for this whole season and the 2 games he played in the playoffs. And I don't know exactly what his stats are, but I can tell you from the eye test, it was eerily similar to Skinner last year. Just catching fire and just like momentum saves. He may not be perfect, but it's just like you need a save here, he'll come through for you.
Does McJesus have like hockey healing powers or like
maybe
hockey does he emanate talent or is he able to like
make some better,
like just throw talent at people?
I think there's something to that,
but I don't know what it is.
We're talking like this guy's magical.
I know, but it's weird because I could totally see them returning to the Cup final.
I totally could.
Yeah, they look like they wouldn't. I mean, last year I don't think people believed it early on. They took them a little bit longer to put some teams away in the earlier rounds, and I think they felt like they were running into a buzzsaw in Dallas, and somehow it's like McDavid just willed them to win,
him in 6.
and they beat him in 6. Like I remember being shocked thinking they were going to beat them in 6 games, thinking how this Dallas team seems like they're just better, or they're just deeper, and it just didn't matter. So I don't know, maybe we'll see a repeat. Man, not bode well for your Golden Knights there.
They scare me for sure. As long as you have Draisaitl and McDavid, they scare me. On the same line, they're terrifying. I think this is a great transition point to the Golden Knights series because for the Minnesota Wild, Kaprizov and Boldy could not be stopped by Vegas. So the idea of trying to stop McDavid and Draisaitl is quite terrifying for me because if we couldn't stop Kaprizov and Boldy, no disrespect to them, they are not McDavid and Draisaitl. Kaprizov is a good player, no doubt. A Hart finalist probably if he stays healthy, but they're not them. It scares me.
I will say I don't watch a lot of Minnesota Wild games, and I was impressed with Boldy and Kaprizov. I didn't know a whole lot about them, and Foligno. I mean, their team with Gustafson in the net. I was pretty impressed with Minnesota, and I think that the interesting thing about hockey is Golden Knights win it in 6 games, but they were half of a human foot, a skate away from potentially losing in 6 games, because Minnesota in that game 5 scores that goal with 1:15 left in the game, and it is overturned because the player was offside. I forget who it was on their side, but I can't even remember. Nyquist. I can't even remember who scored the goal, but Pietrangelo back to back.
Oh, he was horrible.
Horrible defensive play.
He has no speed anymore.
Boldy ties it. The other dude, whoever it was,
Can't remember who it was.
I can't remember.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They look like they're gonna potentially. I mean, they score the goal-ahead goal. Minute 13. Great shot at winning the game.
Yep.
Great challenge by Vegas. Nyquist is half of a toe length offside, but he's offside, right? And if he's not offside, and Minnesota goes back home up 3-2, I mean, you were a toe length away from either losing in 6 or who knows what coin flip in Game 7.
True.
And
Game of inches.
instead, Golden Knights wrap it up in 6. That's how close hockey is, though.
Yep.
I mean, the series could have flipped like that, but it didn't. And that's why all these teams, that's why it's been so great in this first round. It's so wide open in the NHL.
It is.
So wide open.
Wide. There's no Blackhawks.
No. Or Bruins
Lightning.
back a few years ago, or Lightning, or Colorado when they won it in 2022. They were just killing teams. And
it's not like that.
There isn't like a clear-cut cup favorite. And I think that's what's really fun about it, because you could legitimately go down the list on each side and go, yeah, they could probably win the cup. I mean, they've got a great shot. It's pretty wide open right now.
Back to the Vegas series. I was pretty disappointed by Vegas's first line and superstars, mainly Stone and Eichel. They got it going in Game 6, but throughout the series, not very good. And that was kind of where Minnesota took advantage. Obviously, like we said, their first line firing on all cylinders. And it was just like every time they scored, I'm like, oh, who scored? Oh, Kaprizov or Boldy, or Kaprizov setting up Boldy, or Kaprizov setting up somebody else every single time. And then the other guys, it was like their fourth line. It was just like their middle 6 could not do much at all. It was their first line doing most of the carrying. And Vegas's first line could not do anything. So it was pretty annoying to watch. I thought Vegas's defense played decently well for the most part. I just thought it scared me a little bit, because Vegas are going to need Eichel and Stone to start get going if they want any chance versus Edmonton.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the defensive sides of both those teams, Vegas and Edmonton, are fairly even, so it's going to come down.
Edmonton doesn't have Ekholm, so
but I think Ekholm, I mean that's a big piece for them, but I think the guys they do have stepped up against LA. So I just think with Petrangelo's lack of speed,
it's bad.
There's that's why I think like ultimately the D's are going to probably be exposed a little bit in this, and it's going to come down to the star power on each side. It's going to come down to, can McDavid and Draisaitl outscore Stone and Eichel, and
probably,
but then you got Hurdle in there that maybe he'll be a little bit of a difference. I mean, game's going to be in Vegas, right? Vegas can have the home ice on it, but I don't know. I mean, it kind of feels to me like I think of it like I thought last year when Edmonton played Dallas. I thought, okay, Dallas is going to be too much for them, and I kind of feel like Vegas might be too much for Edmonton, which maybe that means Edmonton's going to, be able to come out on top. I don't know.
It comes down to Pickard.
Ultimately. And that's going to be the thing. Does he have the Skinner magic? Is he going to be able to do what Skinner did? If he can just, we keep saying with Skinner, all he needed to do was be 90%.
That's what they are, like 30-2 or something when they get 900 goaltending.
So Pickard obviously has a lot of confidence. He's playing well. Let's see. And and I think I interrupted you earlier when you were starting to talk about Vander Kane. I mean, if Vander Kane comes back and
he was great,
that's a big piece for Edmonton. So I feel like these teams are pretty evenly matched for this series, so it should be a good one. And I would expect it to go 6 or 7. Probably Golden Knights.
I keep picking too many game 7s, and we're only going to see 2. So I think it's gonna go 6. I don't know who it goes to be honest. Vegas really did scare me.
Look, everyone was picking LA, right? Everybody was
like, you know who didn't?
Neither of us. We picked Edmonton.
We picked Edmonton. I
did say 7 games.
I don't care.
It happened in 6.
We picked Edmonton.
But I believed in the McJesus magic. McDavid can, I think, elevate play on his team. I think he's figured out how to do that. I know that your grandfather doesn't particularly care for McDavid, but I think McDavid does something to elevate, and I think he has that effect that a lot of big time players have on other players that play with them. That when he's out on the ice or he's there on the bench, it just elevates everyone's game. And so I just think when intensity's up, I think they're able to come through. But it was such a magical run last year. That's so hard to duplicate.
I agree.
I don't know. Pickard that'll be the difference right there. Hill obviously is a better goaltender than Pickard. So that might be the difference.
It's close though.
It's not by a big margin, but if Edmonton has to go back to Skinner, I don't know. Skinner's been shaky.
I think they're just going to ride Pickard at this point.
I think they will.
I think he's earned the spot.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, ton of buzz around the refs in Vegas, so maybe that plays a role. Maybe if the refs maybe Vegas, with all that poker money, just hand them a little something before the game, and we can get some calls.
Been working.
Just kidding. You guys, it is insane how much people hate Vegas.
I only said that because you read the comments. I don't ever see them, so I don't
go
know.
on like on any NHL page on social media, and under like any Vegas game that they win, every comment is a hate comment. Everybody hates Vegas. I'm used to it at this point. The players probably just treat it as fuel. So hopefully that fuels them to beat Edmonton and then beat the Dallas Stars. And then beat the Florida Panthers.
Well, let's first. Okay, we can't put Dallas immediately in the final, right? I have been saying that, but I'm a little butthurt because of what happened today.
I just put Florida in there.
I get it, but we're discounting Winnipeg and St. Louis, right?
I think Winnipeg sucks.
I mean, we don't want to talk. I mean, that series obviously tied 3-3. It's been very lopsided in St. Louis. Hella Buck has been a little bit of hella suck on the road for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. There's something. You saw it last year when the Avs beat him in 5 games. Even not on the road, he was, they scored a lot of goals on him. And I don't know if, NHL Network was kind of talking about how his style of play is not necessarily a fit for high-intensity playoff hockey, where he likes to stand up tall in the net, and he's not looking around, he's not following pucks. And you saw it, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday's Game 6, where, oh my God, what did he give up? 4 goals in 4 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously there's some defensive deficiency that came about in some of those goals, but he stands tall, and it's, I don't know, it's almost like he's not quite ready, or he's just not seeing it. I don't know what it is, but he lets a few goals in there, and that loud St. Louis arena starts chanting Connor over and over again.
Yeah.
And it just gets in his head. And for 3 road games, getting pulled on 3 of them, I mean, you played 3 and you got pulled in all 3 of them. So now you've got to reset, come back to Winnipeg, Do they play him? Do they start him?
Yeah, does Comrie go?
You got to start Hellebuck.
I feel like you got to ride with the Vezina guy.
If he's going to win the Vezina, he has to be in the net.
It's just...
If you don't
Isn't this
start...
crazy?
But if you don't start Hellebuck in Game 7, is he your goaltender going forward?
He has to be.
He's can't be then.
He's the Vezina.
Well, I'm saying, but if you don't start him, if you don't play him, you don't start him in Game 7, is he your goaltender Game 1 next season?
You start him. I highly doubt they don't start him. You live or die by Hellebuck.
Well, but you're not answering my question.
What?
If they don't play him in Game 1 or in Game 7 tomorrow, is he then your goalie next season?
Yes.
If you don't start him.
Because I guarantee every single team in the NHL would immediately grab him.
They have to start him then.
Yes.
Right? If he's your goaltender
I
Game
think so.
1
I
next season, you have to start him.
I don't see a way they don't start him.
Okay. Yeah.
I genuinely don't.
And I don't even know if they've even said they're not going to.
Well, there's buzz in the air that Comrie
there's
could
no
get
way.
the start.
There is no way he doesn't start Game 7.
It would be insane. Because
he'd be on a short leash though. If he gives up 2 goals early, he probably comes out.
I mean, he's been pulled in 3 games this series.
I just feel like if they get 2 goals on him and they look like they're makeable saves that he doesn't make, I think you hook him. You get him out because clearly there's something mentally that there's a mental block or something. Tremendous amount of pressure on goaltending though, on goaltenders,
Especially
right?
him.
Totally. And Connor Hellebuck is, I said hella suck, and that's not a great thing.
So disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful. but that's just a metaphor for what he was doing.
Yesterday was really bad.
That's just how he's looked on the road. He's been pretty good at home. I mean, he's given up, I think, 8 goals at home in the series. He's given up 16 or 17 on the road. So almost double the amount of goals on the road than at home.
Yep.
And his home, his home goaltending has been really good, like we said. And there's a lot of pressure on goaltenders, and that's a tough position to play. You got to be mentally there, and sometimes when they get these mental blocks, they're just tough to shake.
Yeah.
So I don't like Winnipeg's chances. I just kind of don't.
I think the Blues are going to win 6-2.
I feel like St. Louis has been on a tear.
They're hot.
Look. The facts are what they are. This is the rematch of the Four Nations Championship. This is Canada USA. This is Hellebuck Binnington. Binnington shows up in big moments, and Hellebuck thus far in his career in the playoffs has not shown up when it's mattered. Now, do I have all the stats on that? No, but I don't recall him winning Game 7.
Here's the thing.
Has he won a Game 7?
His first 3 years in the playoffs, his first 3 playoff series appearances, or runs or whatever, he had like over a 908 in each and like a 922 in like 2017. So he's really good.
Talking save percentage, right?
Yeah. The last 3, he's had like less than a 9 or less than like an 850 or something like that. So real bad in those games or in those series and those playoff runs. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Obviously, we'll be here to cover it. But yeah,
maybe we'll have to do an instant reaction after that.
Yeah,
game.
we'll do one. Like I said,
Won't
moving
be as
forward,
much emotion.
we might do just some more instant reactions. It's just more fun that way than just to wait at the end when it's kind of lost in your memory what happened a lot of the time.
Kind of like our whole rundown today. Yeah.
And with the NBA, not as locked into the NBA, kind of unwatchable. But we'll do kind of a recap tomorrow after the Rockets and the Warriors play. Obviously, would love to talk about the Lakers losing, stuff like that. Where my bracket stands. So we'll get to all that. But guys, thanks you so
for
much
watching. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, and let us know what you think of the new setup. We like it. Hopefully you do too. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.